Ladies and gentlemen, the agenda is about to begin. Please be prepared. The Honorable Dean of Communication Science Faculty, University Bhayangkara, Jakarta Raya, Dr. Aan Widodo, SECOM, MCOM, the respectable, the representative of Vice Deans in Faculty of Communication Science, University of Bhayangkara, Jakarta Raya, the respectable head of the master program and undergraduate program in communication science, the respectable all of the lecturers and staff in Faculty of Communication Science, University of Bhayangkara, Jakarta Raya, the respectable, the today's speaker, Assistant Professor, Dr. Mev Yektas, the respectable, the today's moderator, Mr. Azhar Irfansyah, SIPMA, and our beloved students of the Faculty of Communication Science, University of Bhayangkara, Jakarta Raya, and the honorable distinguished participants of today's general lecture. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning from Turkey and good afternoon from Indonesia. Firstly, I would like to say the utmost gratitude towards God for letting together in today's event with good and stable state of health. How are you today? On behalf of the organizer, we would like to warm welcome and express gratitude for participating in this general lecture seminar today. And I would like to introduce myself. I'm Rubiani Zakia Karima. I will be the master of your ceremony of this event today. Today's general lecture is about digital activism and new media, campaigning social transformation movement and humanitarians in digital platforms. Through this theme, we will explore how digital activism and new media have become essential in the campaign for social and humanitarian transformation movement on digital platforms. We will highlight their role in building solidarity, mobilizing the masses, and creating real change in the increasingly digitally connected global society. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Faculty of Communication Science is fully support these events, I would like to invite the Dean of Faculty to give a warm welcome speech. Dr. Aan Widodo, SECOM, MECOM. Also welcome all the participants here. Dr. Aan, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you. For MC, honorable to our speaker from Bacon University, Associate Professor Dr. Mert. How are you today? I hope you always good in condition, and honorable to our honorable to all the participants for this webinar. Dear distinguished esteemed speaker and faculty member and all participants from Bacon University and Universitas of Bhayangkara, Jakarta Raya. I extend warm to welcome to each of you to our collaboration webinar with a tema digital activism and new media, campaigning social transforming movement and humanitarian in the digital platform. This webinar is a result of a fruitful collaboration between Faculty of Bhayangkara Jakarta Raya and Bacon Faculty of Communication Bacon University, Turkey. Today, rapidly enveloped digital landscape, the significance of digital activism and new media in driving social change and advocacy for humanitarian cause cannot be overstated. It is truly heartening to see such as the diverse of engaged audience joining for various corner the globe. Your presence on understand importance of for the topic will be explored together. Talk to this webinar, we will have to the opportunity to develop into the innovative strategies, challenges, and impact of digital activism and in new media and social transformation. And also, I confident that the insight sharing by our extremist panelists and also the ensuing discussion will inspire use of all has the power of digital platform for positive social change. I express my heartfelt gratitude to our speakers. Thank you for your sharing about your expertise, and to all participants for your active for this webinar. Together, let us explore how we can leverage digital technology to further smart jets and equability and confidence to the words. Thank you. I hope you can enjoy post the webinar. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Aan Widodo, SECOM and ECOM from the warm welcome. Now, without further ado, I will invite the moderator who will guide the course of seminar today. The moderator for our discussion today is Mr. Azhar Irfansyah, SIPMA. Now, he is a lecturer from Communication Studies Program, University Bhayangkara, Jakarta, Raya. And he is data and monitoring consultant in Badan Nasional Penanggulangan Terorisme. He was graduated from University of Gadjah Mada in Bachelor of Political Science in 2014. And he was graduated Master of Arts from Sukho University, Korea in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a warm welcome. Mr. Azhar, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the MC for letting me initiate our discussion. So before we proceed to our discussion, I will briefly I will briefly share about the topics that we will discuss today. That I think this topic is increasingly important today because we already see how many people, especially the youth, especially young people, they express their political aspiration and also political participation through online platforms. Here we already joined by Associate Professor Dr. Merve Genç. I apologize in advance if I cannot mention properly Turkish pronunciation. So Dr. Merve Genç is graduated obtained her PhD doctoral degree from HTP University, right? I pronounce it correctly.
Yeah.
HTP University, Institute of Social Science, Department of Communication Sciences. And her dissertation is about beauty as a space of empowerment among women, the case of YouTube beauty channels. And she obtained her master degree from City University of London, Department of Media and Communication. And Her master dissertation is about Facebook effect, the impact of online identities on offline identities. So there are two kind of identities. I think this is also interesting. So, and also currently Dr. Merve Gens is also the head of faculty Department of New Media, right? Department of New Media in Bhayangkara University. And from her CV, I also found that although some of them are in Turkish, but I can recognize some English works also about online platform, social media. So we are lucky to have her join this forum, this general lecture, because she already has this expertise in social media and online platform as her academic tenure. So our discussion will be about, I already checked also the material, the presentation that will be delivered by Dr. Merve Gens, and it is about reflection on digital feminist activism in Turkey. So we will take a look at the case of the feminist activism, right, in Turkey. So I think it is very important and interesting subjects to be discussed, because nowadays online platform and social media, it's like double-edged swords, right? When it terms in terms of empowering women, we can push some woman empowerment agenda through the social media, but we can also found some misogynistic view and misogynistic, even if misogynistic memes also spread in social media. So I think without further ado, we will listen directly from Dr. Merve Gens. So Dr. Merve Gens, the time is yours to deliver your presentation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Asar. Do I pronounce correctly Asar, right?
Yeah, Azhar, yeah.
Okay, by the way, your pronunciation, your Turkish pronunciation was great. So let me once again introduce myself. I am Dr. Merve Genç from Bhayangkara University. I am a member of Faculty of Communication and head of New Media Department. And I'd like to first thank you for inviting me to this organization. It's a great pleasure and honor for me. As I just said before starting the today's event, I have been in Indonesia. It was in 2019, I think. So I really love your country, your climate, your geography, your people. So it's a great opportunity for me again to be together with you. Today, I will try to give a framework for digital activism. But my expertise is mostly on feminism and digital culture. So I will try to reflect feminist understandings on digital activism, which I find really useful because feminism is a very important political movement. And as a political movement, feminism inspired other political movements as well. So for my understanding of activism, I feel really useful feminism's contribution. So today I hope you will enjoy the lecture. So by the way, our participants are your students, mostly your students, right? Communication students. So that means
The audience.
So they are familiar with certain concepts. Okay, so now I'm gonna share my document.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay. Can you see my document, my slides? It's on your
Yeah,
screen.
we can see it clearly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That today I will give a framework for digital activism, but specifically I will talk about the role of feminism in shaping this movement. Both digital activism and feminist movements are rising. They are hot topics around the world. So I hope both topics will feed each other. So throughout my lecture, I'm gonna follow certain steps as I'm gonna mention certain topics more. First, as I said, I will give a very brief information about the origins of digital activism. Hopefully, I will mention certain key moments. Then I am planning to focus on feminism's contribution, and maybe your students are not that familiar with the history of feminism. No worries, I will very briefly mention the feminist ways in terms of their contribution to political activism. And specifically, I will talk about fourth wave of feminism, or fourth wave feminism, you can say both way, and cyberfeminism, because they are also they are very related to digital activist movements. And then after giving a theoretical background information, I am planning to give you some some examples around the world, and I will also try to mention some digital feminist campaigns from Turkey, because in Turkey we have a strong feminist movement, and hopefully we will discuss the future of digital activism, the challenges, the risks, and of course the future of digital feminist activism, while I talk about those topics. There will be some concepts that I will mention from time to time. Those are hacktivism, participatory culture, playful activism, culture jamming, and selectivism. From time to time, I will refer to those key concepts. Okay, as most of the scholars accept, digital activism is a vague and a broad term. It's very broad. It is not easy to define, as many concepts in social sciences. So it is not a surprise. And it is studied by many different fields, as political science, anthropology, sociology, media, communication, computer science. It is we can say it's an interdisciplinary topic, we can say. And its interdisciplinary nature, I mean, it's the reason, or maybe we can say its interdisciplinary nature, results in use of certain concepts interchangeably, as cyber activism, net activism, internet activism, hashtag activism. Okay, each field is tend to use some concepts. You can use, depending on the case, yes, you can use these concepts interchangeably, but in some cases, it is not wise to use these concepts interchangeably, because there are differences, there are nuances. For example, hacktivism and digital activism, from time to time, they overlap. each other, but sometimes it is not wise to use. Digital activism is like an umbrella term. You can use digital activism instead of internet activism, network activism for almost all of them. But when you say online activism, for example, that means you specifically mention a certain period of time, the movements, the political movements in a certain period of time. So being aware of the differences would be important. But of course, as in most cases, we need to give a general definition. Okay, so I really like Vex's definition. It's simple, it's quite clear, but also gives the dimensions of digital activism. As you can see, digital activism is defined by Vex as a politically motivated movement relying on the internet. As you see, it's a very general saying, but according to him, there are three different kinds of digital activism. We can say kind or dimensions of digital activism. The first dimension, I prefer to say dimension because they are in each other. They are not different kinds, but they are like layers of one phenomenon, let's say, one concept. The first one is awareness advocacy, which involves gathering information about a particular topic not covered by mainstream media and bringing it to the public's attention. So awareness is the first dimension of digital activism, as we understand from the definition. The second dimension is organization and mobilization, which involves using the internet to organize offline and online actions. Here, it is important to see it is not only online actions, but the combination of online and offline actions. So mobilization, organization is the second dimension of the activism, digital activism. And the last one, action reaction dimension, which is also called hacktivism. So there are thousands of definitions for digital activism, but I really like Beck's definition, so I hope it's also useful for you. And as I said, there are different concepts used instead of digital activism, like hacktivism, online activism, network activism. So there are hashtag activism. So there are many concepts used to mean digital activism. But when I ask students, when I ask people, what do you understand from digital activism? Mostly, what do they think is nowadays, is today's activist mode of activism, like hashtag activism. But it is not. When we check the history of digital activism, it goes far back. And prior, as you can see, prior to the invention of cell phones, social movements use certain tools, certain technological tools for political activities. So it goes back to 1970s, 1980s, so much earlier than social network sites. So it is really important to understand. For example, hacktivism. Hacktivism as a concept, as a phenomenon, goes back to those years. So hacktivism, the as a concept, as an understanding, hacktivism comes from the that mode of actions. Okay, that early mode of actions. So we can say when we check at the history of internet, we can say the emergence of online forums and bulletin board systems in 1980s and 90s can be considered as the catalyst, as the trigger mechanism for digital activism. The history of internet goes earlier than those years, but the social use, the social use, let's say, is around 1980s, 1990s, and the bulletin board system, emailing lists can be considered. Here you can also, I forgot that I listed. Here you can see clearly the key moments of digital activism. Bulletin board systems today, our students, even I didn't experience, I'm not that aged. So bulletin board systems are considered as the first initiatives of online communities. So online communities are really important for digital activism because you can increase awareness you can provide network connectivity, solidarity. So bulletin board systems are considered as the first commitments, as the first initiatives of online communities. And yeah, we can say the root of digital activism goes back to those years. And then in 1990s, we have seen the emergence of forums, blogs, websites, forums. And then in late 90s and early 2000s, the rise of blogs, which is really important also for digital feminist activism because feminists used blogs very efficiently for solidarity, for awareness. So I always mentioned to put a star next to it. So the rise of blogs, the rise of social media platforms, again, is one of the most important milestones in terms of digital activism. And in mid-2000, we have seen the emergence of online petition platforms like change.org or crowdsourcing platforms, I'm sorry. So those are, again, important steps. And today, I think all of us somehow are digital activists. So we are somehow digital activists. So to be, not to be a digital activist today is really requires effort because we are all surrounded by digital technologies. And if you have any kind of social sensibility towards any social issue, then, and if you click on a button or on something, then that means you are in it. You are part of that digital activist action. So today, even we know or not, we are somehow digital activists. Okay, so here, Karatsojani is a very important scholar, and she has a very useful book. And this is why I really wanna mention her, understanding for digital activism. She also places the birth of digital activism in virtual knowledge communities, particularly those used to create alternative software products engaging in peer production, as starting with the free, libre, open software movement. They descended from the first hackers of the 1960s. So it is the relationship between the hacking techniques and activism. So the first 3 months of the power to divert technology from its original purpose to extend it and make it do the impossible. So it was a dream, it was a protest movement, and it was the initiative of technology dreamers, and today we all use such tools, such mechanisms, let's say. And Karatsojani examines 4 waves of online activism. By the way, the phases of digital activism can be categorized differently. But again, I really find her understanding, her categorization useful, so I follow her categorization. And according to her, the Zapatista movement, maybe your students are not familiar, but because they are too young maybe, but Zapatista movement and the organization, the indie media, is the first wave, are considered the first wave of digital activism. And according to her, the digital activist actions during Iraq war is considered as the second wave of digital activism. Then, during 2007, the digital activism expanded the countries of BRICS and outside of the global north. And from 2010 to 2013, the cases of Snowden and WikiLeaks constitute the last phase of digital activism. Maybe your students know who is Snowden. There is a nice movie about Snowden case, so I really suggest your students to watch to have an idea how government and hackers and such movements have been shaped. So it's a very nice and smooth movie. According to certain scholars, Arab Spring is one of the most important milestones. For example, Manuel Castells, I'm sure your students are familiar with him. Manuel Castells specifically studied on network activism, and he had somehow optimistic, let's say, perception, understanding towards such movements. And we can say Arab Spring around the world was one of the most important milestones. And even in Turkey, we have seen its reflections. Maybe Gezi events. It was somehow the result of Arab Spring. So according to, for example, Castells, network activism is characterized by mostly Arab Spring. So there are different conceptualization, there are different categorizations in terms of digital activism. So I think so far it's clear. So if you are interested, you can find deeper conceptualizations, deeper understandings. Now, my expertise, feminist contributions to digital activism. As I said, feminism is a political movement. It is a theoretical field. It is theoretically studied now all around the world. Its theoretical dimension is expanding more and more. But it was started as a political movement, and it was really radical in terms of its political understanding. And feminists feminist activists use various mediums, various tools to promote social change. And they fought for gender equality, suffrage, work balance. They had plenty of topics to fight. And we here, as you can see, we classify feminism in 4 ways. First wave of feminism, second wave of feminism, third wave, and the last one is fourth wave of feminism. No worries, today I'm not gonna tell you those waves, but I will mention specifically the fourth wave of feminism, which is very related. It is also called digital feminism. So, no worries again, but maybe that would be wise just very briefly to mention. The first wave of feminism emerged in late 19th century to early 20th century, and we name it as a first wave of feminism can be classified, can be considered as a liberal feminism, and women fought for their political rights, social rights, and their mode of activism was going to march, going to strikes, traditional kinds of movement, let's say. So, of course, it was the case for it was as a result of the case of technology. So, in terms of technology, their their ways were very limited. But when it comes to the second wave of feminism, it is during 1960s till 1980s. Women again fought for their rights, but this time they focused more on private sphere instead of public sphere, and they said personal is political, and again they did marches, and maybe in Paris there used to be burning bra protests. It was a very famous, a very well-known feminist activism. So they went strikes, they collected signatures. So they used very radically, very roughly traditional activist methods. Even though during 70s, 80s, there were some possibilities to use technology, okay, like representation in the use of TV channels, the use of radio, they stayed somehow far from back from using technology. But when it comes to third wave of feminism, something changed. And the emergence of third wave feminism is considered as 1990s. 1990s is also is the start of using internet as a social tool, as a social communication method. And third wave feminists embraced digital tools for empowerment. They said, why didn't we use such tools to for visibility, for raising our voices? But before third wave feminism, even though it wasn't, internet, there were certain technologies, but feminists stayed away, somehow stayed away. But with third wave of feminism, we see a new understanding towards activism. And so we can say the emergence of third wave of feminism is really important for using technology. By the way, please do not consider only internet as technology. Okay, so today I know when we talk about technology, it is internet most of the time that comes to our mind. But as the reality of that time, please consider technology in its wide sense. But both traditional media and internet, let's say early use of internet, were operationalized by feminists. So it was an important step. And when it comes to the last phase of feminism, which is today it is said we are now leading the fourth way of feminism. In fact, it is not very different from third way of feminism in its content, but it is different in terms of its taking action. So their topic today, of course, since our topic is not feminism, I didn't talk about their let's say, their content, but I'm focusing just on their mode of action. The fourth wave of feminism and third wave of feminism share the same ideas, but fourth wave of feminism, as a result of time, is more and more digitalized. So social media platforms as Facebook, YouTube, Instagram are like platforms to fight for feminist rights. So online activism is a key component for fourth way of feminism. It is also called cyber feminism. So it's as you can see, cyber feminists embrace digital technologies as tools for empowerment and resistance. Resistance against what? Against patriarchy, as you might guess. So digital technologies are keys. For example, for second wave feminists, such tools are the tools of the evil. So we can say they are somehow distant, but young feminists, let's say last generations, are more positive about the capability of such technologies. So to summarize, we can say feminists use technology today, and let's say internet as technology, for empowerment and visibility. They also use it to challenge certain norms as patriarchy, and they use it for global connectivity. So we can say those are the opportunities. Those are the, let's say opportunities. And to be honest, they are very good at it, but this doesn't mean that they are freed from criticism. They are also criticized. This mode of activism, this mode of, let's say activism is criticized as being individualistic. So I put a question mark here. So throughout the speech you can consider, and at the end we can discuss if it is really individualistic or not. Okay. Let me take a break. So when you check the research, the data, you can find that women, when compared to men, are much, much better than men in terms of using social network sites. Women are much more effective. Maybe it's because of their talkative nature. It's maybe because of their, let's say, their nature. I don't know. They use it because maybe they are more subjective. So when you check the data, you can realize that difference. This is just this is just information by Pew Research Center, which is a very important research center for your students. I always say to my students, when you check some statistical data about USA, you need to check Pew Research Center. It's a very strong and important research center. So this is just a data from 2011. So we are now 2024. Probably it is not much different than this. So we can say upon this, we can say women are powerful users, so they are somehow empowered by technology. And here I really want to mention the concept of participatory culture. I'm sure your students know Henry Jenkins, the coiner of the term, Henry Jenkins. Participatory culture, the idea of participatory culture also contributed to digital citizenship, digital activism, digital participation, and through platforms, digital platforms, we do online campaigns, social movements, we do digital journalism. It is very common in Turkey, by the way. So participatory nature, participatory culture of today's technology also enables digital citizenship and activism. But here I really need to mention that Henry Jenkins is very optimistic about he is not very critical about technologies, let's say, position in terms of social movements. So he is American, he is optimistic, so it's important. So here I don't want to draw a very, smart and a very positive picture. So I feel responsible myself to mention the position of scholars while dealing with the concepts. Okay, so participatory culture results in some kind of activist movements. This is a movement, activist, let's say, action, playful activism introduced by feminists. Anita Harris, if I'm not wrong, coined this term. It's a combination of play and activism. So according to feminists who who suggest playful activism, to be an activist, you don't have to be so serious. Okay, so sometimes humor could be more influential, more useful than anger. So they use humor or playful techniques as a way of activism. And today, even though this activist action was introduced in early 2000s or late 1990s, today we use it as memes or gifs. So it is also very common in Turkey. So the use of memes, the use of gifs can be traced back to feminist activist actions, let's say. So the idea behind is convincing the public that feminism can be actually fun through humorous, interventions. And it also played an important role. I mean, humor, or let's say playful activism. It's very important, and it is called culture jamming. So activists today, not only feminists, but the idea comes from feminism. This is why I mentioned. Today, most of the activists use culture jamming. This is very important. Jamming, what is jam? Mixing. So you mix the norms, you change the culture, you somehow troll the culture, and this way you force people to think differently. So it's a strategy, it's a political activist strategy, even though we don't feel that while reading such, humorous content, we don't feel that we are politicized, but somehow and culturally we are politicized. So this is important, and this is really important to understand the culture's impact on politics. So politics here, in this sense of activism, politics is intertwined with humor, with culture. So it is a very important strategy. It's a very wise strategy, wise tactic. So now it's time to give some concrete examples. When we say digital feminist activism, the most common case is Me Too movement. It was started in 2006, but we knew it. We became aware of it in 2017, so it took more than 10 years to went viral. This is important, and the movement highlighted the sexual harassment issues. So it was, to be more specific, it was about Hollywood. It was about sexual abuse allegations against a Hollywood film producer, Harvey Weinstein, and women used Me Too hashtags in 2017 to admit, to say they are, victims of his sexual abuse. And then all of a sudden it went viral, and around the world, women started to say, yes, I have experienced, I have lived such cases. So they used this hashtag, and we can say it raised awareness. And around the world, again, celebrities as Jennifer Lawrence, Uma Thurman, so they supported this movement, we can say. And in Turkey, we had a very similar, but this time it wasn't against film industry, but it was against publication industry. So we had a similar case, we can say. Another important example is Not Okay movement. Again, it is very similar to Me Too movement. Again, it's about sexual harassment in Hollywood. So the outcome, maybe we need to talk about the outcome of these actions, these movements, because most of the time it's a question to be answered. If such activisms are, such activisms have concrete results or not. So maybe we need to talk a little about the outcomes of movements. And the outcome of that movement was highlighting the problem and showing the scale, the scope of the problem. We can say Protect Black Women case was similar to that Black Lives Matter case, but this time the subject was women. I like to mention No More Page 3 case, movement, let's say, because the outcome of that movement was really concrete. It was a campaign in the UK to remove topless images of women from a very well-known newspaper, Sun's page 3, and it focused on objectification of women in the media and its influence on attitudes towards women. And after that movement, the Sun eventually had to discontinue its page 3. So we can say that movement was one of the most important ones in terms of its concrete outcome, its concrete result, let's say. Niuna Menos is another movement, again, towards femicide and gender-based violence in Latin America. He or she was a UN women campaign targeting to, to provide solidarity between men and women and gender equality. So again, such movements raised awareness. And in Turkey, we can say we have a strong activist culture, and specifically, we have strong digital feminist activist culture. I think the reason behind is about the history of feminism. Feminist movements were active since the late periods of Ottoman Empire and early years of Turkish Republic. So we have a strong feminist movement, we can say. And after the second decade of 2000s, women started to use online platforms for advocacy, for solidarity, for battling, let's say. And this went really viral in Turkey, Challenge Accepted movement. Originally, it wasn't a Turkish campaign, but after a femicide of a young Turkish woman reacted and followed that movement. And on Instagram, I also shared my black and white photos to raise awareness, and the hashtag was Challenge Accepted. So it sparked conversations, and again, around the world, Hollywood celebrities also realized that Turkish women, and they shared the, contents. So this way, I can say that was an important and successful campaign in terms of raising awareness towards femicide, because femicide is a hot and important topic in Turkey. We are very sensitive about it. So it was a very important case. Another important campaign is called Kadın cinayetleri politiktir. We can say femicides are political. Again, it was similar to that of Challenge Accepted movement. In Turkey, for some years, it is one of the most important topics, femicides. So feminists forced government to take action. And another campaign, which is İstanbul Sözleşmesi yaşatır. We can translate it as Istanbul Convention keeps alive. It was an international treaty accepted and signed in Turkey, but then the government withdrew it, and women fought for it. Fought not to abolish the law, because that law was, organized to prevent femicides. But the outcome is, unfortunately, it resulted in withdrawal of the convention. So today we don't have that convention anymore. Women really fought for it for days. for months, but unfortunately, it was in vain. I don't want to say in vain, but it didn't stop politicians to stop their actions, let's say. In Turkey, by the way, we have plenty of examples. As I said, we have a strong protest culture. So those are just the most important, most well-known ones. Maybe now time is, running, so it's time to talk about the challenges, the pros and cons of digital activism. As you may guess, one of the most important challenges or the criticisms towards digital activism is digital divide. So scholars, experts, they argue that as a result of digital divide, the digital participation is not equal, and this results in, inequality. So digital divide comes as one of the most important challenges towards such kind of participations, civic participation, civic, activist movements. And it is not only about accessibility. It is not only about the technological side of it. It is also about the, age, ability. Okay, so day by day, the population is getting age, and their, skills, their abilities to use digital technologies is not as the same as young people. So again, digital divide comes as an important problem. And I said individualistic side of it is considered as one of the challenges, because scholars, mostly coming from political science, or we can say more classical understanding, says activism, political participation should have a collective nature, but with new media technologies and with the post-modernization, let's say, we are getting more and more individualistic. And individualistic side of activism results in less effective political engagement. So this is also another important challenges or criticisms towards digital activism. And selectivism, it's an important term. It is the combination of slack and activism. Slacker means someone who avoids work, and it is said digital activism results in selectivism, because as a person, you feel that you did something by clicking on a button, or sharing simply sharing a post, but in fact you don't, but you feel yourself as a responsible citizen, but in fact it is not. So selectivism is another criticisms towards digital activism. And another and maybe one of the most important ones is the censorships. Countries today can have different implementations towards digital activist actions, and this may result in both governmental censorships or auto censorships. So the legal actions of the country's governments again are one of the most important topics to consider. And opportunities. So I left the opportunities to the last subaltern counterpublics. This is a specific term by Fraser, a very important scholar, and she says with the new media technologies, it is possible to create subaltern counterpublics. Those are domains to serve as opposite discursive arenas against powers. So we can say subaltern creation of subaltern counterpublics is one of the most important opportunities. Through internet, women can, not only women, citizens, common people, ordinary people can raise their voices, can share different perspectives beyond they can be in solidarity, they can be in touch beyond their physical circle. So this is really important. Network and connectivity, again, it's about the nature of the internet. So through online and offline participation, it is triggered. I mean, network and connectivity is triggered. And maybe one of the most again, important opportunities is the idea of public outreach or grassroots activity. This forces governments, politicians to take action. Again, it's about visibility, it's about, solidarity, connectivity. Those are not independent from each other. They are all, overlapped. But showing a public anger, a bottom-up activity really forces governments, powers to take action on local or global level, we can say. By the way, we can, multiply the challenges, opportunities. Those are just maybe the most common ones or the ones that come to my mind. Yeah. Maybe that would be wise to mention my position. I am also an optimist. So even though there are some, risks, challenges, I, as a scholar, as a person, I believe in the capability of, of technology in terms of empowerment of the ordinary people, empowerment of the marginalized groups, empowerment of the women. So I strongly believe in their empowerment, capability, but I also accept the risks, challenges, and here maybe there are some important, important steps to consider, like digital literacy. So with digital literacy, you can be both a more effective user activist, and also you can protect yourself from the challenges, risks of such new mode of activism. And yeah, this is the reality of today's world. So we are more and more digitalized and maybe individualized, but there are always, ways and tools to provide collectivity and to provide empowerment. So this is my position as a scholar, as a woman. So, but again, as in many cases in social sciences, it is open to discussion. So if you have any questions, I'm ready.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation, Dr. Merve Genç. I'm to learn a lot from you, from your presentation. So I'm not trying to make it this is a very, there are a lot of important points, but I'm want to stressing to several points so our audience will remember. I will try to conclude for several points. For example, Dr. Merve Genge said that digital activism is, uh, uh, you agree with the definition that is vague and broad terms, and it requires interdisciplinary approach to really understand it, and also but in a very simple way to describe it is it's like political movement relying on internet, right? And it's also we have to remember that political I mean digital activism is not something that only happen like nowadays, but also already predate the popularity of social media. For example, hacktivism, right? Hacktivism,
Early form of digital
early
activism was
form of digital activism, and I think it is also interesting how Zapatista movement, AZLN, it was in it's in Mexico, right? I mean,
yeah.
in Chiapas, which is anti-globalization, but
Yeah.
it's somehow like a juxtaposition. Like they
Yeah,
are
that's
anti-globalization, but on the other side, they are also the one who, how to say, initiate the first
global.
who initiate digital activism. I think this is also important
Yeah.
if Dr.
Good point. Thank you.
Mercedes want to discuss further. And some are more optimistic, like Manuel Castel, and some are maybe more pessimistic towards digital activism. I remember in 2011 during the Arab Spring, I think most of the expert scholars are enthusiastic towards digital utopia, but
Yeah.
nowadays after I think not all of them, but some Arab Spring turn sour, right? They are not really achieve their goals, and some scholars they began to disillusioned by this kind of digital utopia, and it is also interesting that Dr. Merve Genge explained how feminist movement are in the third and the fourth wave, right? In the third and the fourth wave, contributing also to some digital activism like participatory culture, playful activism by
Anita
Anita
Harris.
Harris, yeah. Playful activism and also culture jamming. Culture jamming is also used during the Occupy Wall Street movement, right? I mean, I remember there is one Ed Buster, the media, the Canadian magazine. They use the famous ad and using the symbol of this advertisement to to bring different message. So this is like jamming. It's like mixing or confusing the message. Yeah. So the culture jamming. Sometimes it requires longer time for digital activism to create impactful, meaningful impact, right? I mean, like Me Too movement, it takes more than decades, more than one decade to really to really bring public attention, and also uh, in Turkish in Turkey there are several issues that we can say it's successful to bring public attention, to spark conversation about some issues. And I think digital activism is the way we embrace the migration from analog activism to from analog world to digital world. And we are no longer like before. We have collective action, now we have like connective action, right? We are for example in during Me Too protest, or we are the 99%. We are People are try to be relate to each other through their stories uploaded in social media. And at the end, there are some challenge and opportunity. Some challenge, there are digital divide, selectivism, and censorship. In terms of selectivism, sometimes this is like some people criticize um, digital activism is like to feel good about yourself, not really just like Dr. Merve Genge explained. It's not really we changing something from our fingertips. Like before, we have to go to protest, and we have to march under the sun. Nowadays, we can just laying in our bedroom and hoping that we can create change. Just by open social media, click some likes and share, and sometimes that's why some people call it selectivism, and it become more individualistic. Sometimes people just like how to say, virtue signaling, like they are look at me, I am better than you because I care about climate change, I care about women issue, and they make it public in social media, but sometimes it doesn't really have it doesn't really create a meaningful impact. And also censorship, in some countries there is still this kind of problem. And also opportunities, we don't have to we cannot forget about opportunities. It brings subaltern counter publics. This is concept by Nancy Fraser, and also diverse voice and perspective could be appear on the social media, because we don't have any gatekeeper, right? Before, in mainstream media, we have gatekeeper to decide which perspective are worth to be transmitted, and which perspective are not to be transmitted. But nowadays, this elite creative of gatekeeper are no longer there, so everyone could communicate, express their perspective. And also network and connectivity, like what we are doing today. Turkey, Indonesia, very far, but I can learn a lot from you using this technology. And also bottom-up action, public outrage also somehow become like the bargaining position of the mass to push the government to take action for some cases. So now I want to let the floor to have some question. Any participants is there any question from the floor? Oh, there is one. Pak Husni, Mr. Husni, you raise your hand. Okay, please be concise. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, the moderator, Mr. Azhar, and for Miss Murph. Well, actually, um, I concern to the digital literacy. Uh, as a feminist, you are as a feminist, so I wanna ask. This is happening in Indonesia. The phenomenon that uh, one feature, the popular feature in social media is live streaming, right? Especially live streaming on TikTok. I don't know this is happen in your country or not, but it it creates uh, content creator to sell a misery, and also they can self exploitation. They can do self exploitations. Indonesia, uh, it happens that female or women swam in a mud. Yeah, they swam in a mud. Uh, what for? They wanna give. They wanna get a gift from the audience. They wanna. Yes, they wanna get a gift from the participant. I mean, so what do you think about this? Do you have some agenda for literacy to the live streamers like this? Because live streamers in Indonesia mostly are female. Thank you.
Thank you,
What
Mr. Okay, please.
Personally, I'm not supporter. I'm not a user of TikTok, and I feel myself very distant. So once I tried, but I couldn't get the idea of it. So, but I know the culture. There is a different ecology. Its ecology is much more different than that of Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, I see there are exploitations, some, unpleasant, representation of female body or, womanhood. So of course, as a feminist, I do not, support such representations. But on the other hand, I'm not a fan of restrictors. I mean, the idea should be to educate, to raise awareness towards towards womanhood, towards representation of values, towards norms. So the idea should educate, should raise awareness. I don't feel the restrictions, the censorships, the limitations will result in, in long term, in good. So personally, and as a feminist, even though I don't appreciate such, representations, I feel that we need to find the ways to raise awareness or to reach people, to reach women. And technology, popular culture, popular media should be our tools to provide such methods. Again, an optimistic.
Okay, so do not restrict, but educate, right? To raise
Not restrict, but educate, raise awareness. It should be always through education, through culture, through media, and media has a lot responsibility. Even though it is getting more and more digitalized, but still we have traditional media platforms. Still we have gatekeepers. We have, agenda setters. So there are responsibilities upon our shoulders as scholars, as media producers, media workers. So I believe in education, literacy education, in terms of such content.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
Mr. Husni, is
Yeah,
there?
I'm still in line. Thank you, Miss Merv. And I think this is was it a huge job for me and Pa Azhar maybe to give the education, and also for the students of communications. I think they can create civil servant, not civil servant, but services to the public to educate people to create a good content. Uh, that's that's a problem. Okay, I think you have the agenda, some agenda like that in global, for example, the or which can we adapt to give the literacy for more skillful, or to was it to implement to the Indonesian people like that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Is there any other question from the floor? Please do. Okay, Anya, Olivia. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the chances. I want to ask about Miss Merve as a feminist. I want to ask you about, so the activity of feminism is also changes in female dress standards and acceptable physical activities for females have also been part of feminist movements, right? So I want to ask you, do you have any advice on what to do as a woman to let them embrace and be themselves, to trust themselves and to express themselves, that it's okay for them to express their true self? Do you have any advice, me also as a woman and us here in the audience as a woman, to embracing ourselves? Is it okay? And do you have any advice on how? Maybe that's the only questions that I have for now. Thank you.
I'm checking my book, just a second. This is my book. It is in Turkish, but the translation is beauty politics, or you can translate it as politics of beauty. So this is one of the most important topics for me within feminism, because the beauty ideology or body standards are, somehow the somehow are the most are the canons of both feminism and patriarchy. So as a feminist, my standpoint as a feminist is to embracing your womanhood the way you are. Within third wave feminism, there is a subcategory as girl culture. Girl culture, it's a movement again, and it emphasizes the idea of embracing all the attributes, the nature, all the attributes, all the let's say attributes of humanhood. So for my, it is a very sharp, maybe to say, but within feminism, there were some movements, there were some understandings which tries to ignore the female, interpretations or attributes of women, and try to ignore again for empowerment. But as a feminist and as a third wave feminist, I believe in empowerment by embracing any kind of female, side of us. So here I am maybe. I might be considered as, a little sharp, because again, this is a criticism within feminism and towards feminism, because in feminism, it is a hot topic. But as a feminist, I strongly believe in embracing all, the way we are, our nature. I don't want to say nature, but all the, preferences. It's a right to prefer, to choose. So if you, want to express yourself, if you want to present yourself in a way you are, then you should be. So there shouldn't be any, pressure coming from the, patriarchy or coming from the feminist movement. So again, feminism, it's, I think, mistake of feminism to ignore or to, to not to emphasize the female, representations. But I think nowadays we can be both, enjoy our selves as we are and also be powerful. So we don't have to be manly to be powerful. So be yourself.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Merve.
It's a hot topic. That's why I a little, hesitated, because within feminism, it's a, hot topic.
Yes. I myself, I have my own experience on facing a patriarch, but yes, that's why I want to hear from your point of view as an activist. That I really want to know how I just like have to ignore people that are not really constructive enough to give their opinion to me. So it's my honor for hearing this from you as an activist. So
your body, your choice.
yes,
Your
my body, my choice. Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Merva. It's an honor for me.
Yeah, me either.
Okay. Thank you, Anya. I think this is very important interaction between Indonesian feminist and Turkish feminist. Okay, I think there is some question that came through the message, so I will read it to you, Dr. Merve Genç. I think that there are two questions. The first is, in your opinion, what is the specific difference between digital activism, specifically feminism, in Europe and in Asia? So I think in ASEAN context, there are also a lot of difference because Asia is more diverse than Europe, I think. So what is the difference of digital activism, feminist digital activism in Europe and in Asia? And the second question is, how can digital activists effectively navigate and counter internet censorship in an era of increasing online surveillance and controls by government and corporations? So today we live under, they say this is like surveillance capitalism. So not only government who has the interest to do the surveillance, but also corporation. Okay, please, Dr. Merve Genç, your take on these two questions.
Okay, let me start with the first question. It's a tough question for me because I'm not from Asia. So to answer that question, you should know more than the more than the information given by the newspapers, given by the media. You need to know the culture. You need to be the insider. So I am outsider, so I cannot, compare exactly the differences. But to professors, to researchers who like to work on it, maybe we can conduct a research comparing the digital feminist understandings and activisms in Turkey and in Indonesia. So we can conduct a research, but for the moment, since I'm not an insider, it would have Asia, but what Asia? Where exactly in Asia? So geography and countries make a lot difference. So even though, you know, geographically we may, you know, stay closer, a border makes a lot difference. So we need to consider it specifically each case. But in general, as you may assume, in Europe, there is more, you know, freedom of expression, so there are less censorship. So we can say individuals, I mean, yes, citizens feel more free to express themselves. But again, in countries where the, you know, governmental implementations may occur, individuals should take action, you know, more attentiously. And yeah, they need digital literacy to protect themselves. And maybe in the early years of social networking sites, since cybercrime, since hate speech crime, we didn't have such concepts, and people, you know, used to write whatever they want, used to use internet less wisely, and as a result, people had to pay. So the experience now, we are more and more experienced. We are more aware of the possible results. So it's both about experience and yeah, in countries there are where there are less opportunity to express yourself, you need to be cautious. But again, I need to know the context in order to compare, in order to do a proper comparison. In Turkey, I can say, maybe this way I can, you know, correlate, I can relate to the second question. Maybe if we talk about Turkey, there are surveillance. And I don't believe in its selectivism. Maybe you just click on something, but you take risks. You take a lot risks. So definitely surveillance is stronger than, you know, traditional classical methods. So since you take the risk of surveillance, I don't think we should, you know, we should consider it as selectivism or as a, you know,
there is the risk, right? There is the
risk. And today, maybe in early years of, you know, social networking sites, people weren't that aware of it. But then government, you know, started to take action, and people experienced the, you know, harsh results. And now they know that through experience, through, you know, theoretical information, but they know that now. We use some kind of auto censorships. We all do this.
yeah.
So for countries where there is such a risk, of course, we limit ourselves.
Yeah. Okay.
And of course, the degree of digital activism differ. But what I observe, even though in Europe there is more maybe sense of, you know, more freedom of speech, the strategy, the ways, the methods developed by, you know, non-European countries are, you know, more interesting, more, you know, more interesting and more fascinating. So the restriction maybe makes people more creative, and, you know, people don't stop taking action. So this is something I think positive in terms of political participation. People don't say, okay, there is surveillance and there is less, freedom of speech, then we quit. No, they, it is agency. They keep to be agents.
Agents, yeah.
They keep to be political agents. So maybe in countries, in non-European countries, that understanding is stronger.
Yeah, yeah.
And that protest culture is more developed.
Yeah. Even in Indonesia also we have the law that regulate about UU ITE. It's about informational and technological and electronical expression. So sometimes people they have some problem because what they post, and in political context, sometimes when people criticize government, they would not say like government in Indonesia, but they will change the name of the country to like fictional countries like Wakanda. To this is like a self censorship to avoid the attention of the surveillance. I think what does it mean is not like really like Europe and Asia, but between Western Hemisphere and outside Western Hemisphere that is not really practicing freedom of expression. And okay, those questions actually came from your colleagues, Aslihan Balci.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great, our student.
And I also have another question from Mr. Tabrani Shafriza. He is also faculty members of Universitas Bhayangkara in FICOM, in Faculty of Communication. His question is, while social media platforms often have algorithm and automated system to identify content that violates policies, more is needed to guarantee the credibility of the content. Instead, in situation without moderators assessing content credibility may rely more heavily on the individual user. What forms of responsibility can be taken from social media users? So this is like the tsunami of information that we are experiencing today. Before the internet era, maybe we have lack of information. We have to find sources of information. But nowadays, information came to us, like a tsunami. So sometimes it is become, we are overwhelmed by so many contents. So what kind of responsibility when it comes to choosing more reliable source of information, because information is also useful for the movement, right? Like what kind of action, what kind of demands do you want to push is actually have to be based on reliable information. Okay.
Yeah, it's really important when we consider that we are now living in post-truth era. So it is really impossible to, differentiate between the reality and the fake. So there is too much responsibility on us because disinformation, misinformation is everywhere. Again, you need to be enough acknowledged, enough aware to filter the information, to check. In Turkey, for example, we have a platform as teyit.org. Teyit means you go and check if the news is, this is an initiative by journalists, but Of course, you cannot check all the news on this platform, but they work really hard. But it's a huge platform and targeted mostly to political issues. So if there are, some controversial topics, you can go and check the information is true or not. So we have such platform because it's really important to differentiate. Maybe there are other platforms that I don't know, but Teyit.org in Turkey is a very common one, a very well-known one, and the rest is again is on the shoulders of the individual. So you need to be aware of this fact, and you need to filter and maybe cross-check, double-check.
Yeah. Okay, so we need to be very critical to what kind of information that came to us. Okay, before maybe I will conclude from the but I actually I have the last question from myself because I'm really this is the opportunity that I would like to use. So online activism sometimes overview like this playful activism. It's exciting and fresh, and you can do it like really without going anywhere from your home. So some young people, they are really keen to how to say, use this online platform. But also we actually both in Turkey and Indonesia, we have political institution like political party and maybe like mass organization, political organization that are still active today. But sometimes people choose online activism to drift away from this kind of conventional political participation. So do you think this online political participation sometimes somehow weakens the participation on conventional political institution like political party and election? For example, Turkey and Indonesia just held an election, or does it also somehow make it more dynamics? Because sometimes we are frustrated by by this conventional political channel. That's why we tend to express it our political aspiration online. So how do you think about this connection between conventional and digital political participation?
Definitely, it has some weakening points, sides, definitely. But to overcome that, as selectivism, in short, we can say it has, online activism, it has that, potential, that risk, and it weakens the idea of collectivity, the idea of collectivity, let's say, and the consciousness about political issues. I definitely agree with you. To overcome that, I think problem can be provided by, again, collective action, institutions, NGOs, again, universities, public figures, have responsibilities. And if I talk about again feminism in Turkey, we have quite a strong platform, feminist platforms. They are collective and they, in nature, by the way, they are coming from second wave feminist thinking. That means they are more traditional in terms of action, but they don't also ignore the digital platforms, digital tools. So in Turkey, we can say there is a combination, but this doesn't mean that in Turkey there is also a hype. There is also there is a hype to be honest. But to overcome this can be provided by NGOs, by platforms, by awareness, I can say. But definitely, I agree with you. There is a weakening point, but it is not something that cannot be overcome.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mervekins. But there is actually one last question.
Yeah.
I think the audience won't let you go. People from various parts of the world continue to express support for the Palestinian following, the Israeli invasion. So, as a symbol of support for Palestinian, user on social media have embedded watermelon emoji in various posts. How do you see this? Is using emojis or certain symbols is powerful tools to participate in digital activism?
Yeah, again, this example fits to playful activism or culture jamming. Yeah, it's a specific context, a specific case, and yeah, around the world, there were protests. There were, both offline and online. But it's a huge topic and it's a hot topic. So I don't want to assume that the digital activist movements or digital, reactions failed. So maybe we can say it wasn't as, effective as one might hope, expect. Because it's a hot topic, it's about major politics. So I think it's an important topic to understand the minor and major, political interventions. Some people assume that it failed, reach enough attention. It couldn't, have a concrete outcome. But to see the results again, we need to see the long-term effects. And the question, the watermelon, sharing watermelons, and the all the posts can be considered under the concept of playful activism. But to be honest, it is not enough. Those are, it is not enough. It is not always, a real success, like in Istanbul Convention case. We had protests, we had, it was a really huge topic, but at the end, what happened? But I don't want to say it failed.
Yeah.
Because it's too early to say failed. And, if you say, failed, then that means you limit that action, each action deserves, deserves to be considered effective. Somehow. So to see, I'm sure it had some effects, but the effects, of course, weren't that wide, that extensive. But to see the real results, we need to, the history is something like that. You need to stay a little, far, and then you can assess, you can evaluate more properly. So we need maybe a time if it failed or not.
Yeah.
And even though it failed, it is not because of the, I think, the inability of online, activism, online platforms. It's about other dynamics.
Yeah.
About politics. So you cannot weigh too much from just a, mode of action. It is just an action. This is just, little into the middle. We need to we need several dynamics to succeed. So this is just, we shouldn't, expect too much. This is an opportunity. So we need to use it as much efficiently as possible. So this is what I can say.
Okay, thank you. So I also heard that
by the way, I'm sorry, by the way, with the protests in Gaza case, in Palestine case, people left traces for the history to be written. This is very important. Maybe for the moment we don't see the results. We don't see, but through any kind of action, we left the traces for the next generation, for the history. So again, any effort deserves, to be mentioned.
To be recorded, yeah. I think it is also important to note that at the beginning, watermelon symbol is used to avoid censorship by some government who are not really like the Palestinian flag, so they use watermelon. I think it is important take also from you. So I will conclude several takes from you from the from the session of discussion. The first is, do not restrict but educate. Rather than restricting the way of expression, it is better to educate. So I think this is the what Mr. Husni said. This is the huge responsibility for us as an academic to educate. And in terms of politics of beauty, I think this is also important. Be yourself, be powerful. It doesn't really mean to be manly. It doesn't necessarily, translates to be manly, to be powerful. But I think women is also symbol of power. There are a lot of what women can do, but men cannot do. And also in terms of, I think this is also interesting that you say there is no selectivism in the context of where a government doesn't really exercise freedom of expression, because you like something, you share something, it could be problem for you. So there is a risk, because there is this kind of risk that have to be faced. It requires some courage only to share something, right? So there is no such a thing in selectivism because of this risk that are
underestimated. Yes, it has that name, that side, but just labeling it as selectivism, I think, is kind of underestimating its potential and ignoring the risk. So,
and also, even sometimes we live in in a very practical era in which we can order food online and other things. It happens really quick, but in terms of activism, sometimes it still requires times to, finally have some meaningful impact, have some success. So we have to wait. If it not like happen instantly, doesn't mean it failed, right?
Yeah,
So
take the example of Me Too movement. It started in 2006, but then
it become
we had to wait more than 10 years.
10 years, yeah, to become really wide conversation, to spark conversations.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think we learn a lot from you, Dr. Merva Genç. I hope sometimes we can have not only online, but offline discussion would be nice.
Yeah,
Do you
definitely.
have any closing statements from you, closing remarks yeah, it was wonderful to have this discussion, but sadly it has to be ended. So do you have like ending remarks from you?
Thank you so much for your hosting. I really, enjoyed the lecture and the all the, contributions are really valuable for me. I hope your students and other professors also enjoyed it. Sometimes those topics are really hard to, talk about on online platforms. We even, do auto censorship, self censorship. But as a general understanding, I hope you enjoyed and learned something from Turkey. I mean, your students. As I said at the beginning, I really love your culture. You are so colorful. I really love. And yeah, hope to meet you offline. And I would like to take a screenshot of our,
Of course.
pictures. That would be a nice memory.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So maybe the audience could
Open, yeah.
open the camera, turn on, nyalain kameranya ya, teman-teman yang participants biar bisa diambil. I have to address them in Indonesia. So, okay.
How do you say hello in Indonesia?
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, yeah. Hello, yeah. It's
In
or you
Indonesia,
can say selamat sore. Selamat sore is like good afternoon in Indonesia.
I have some wooden handcrafts from your Turkey. I love your wooden crafts. I remember
Bali?
Huh? Bali, from
Bali?
Bali. Yeah,
Ah,
from Bali. Yeah, it's on my wall. I really love. So, but now when I, go back, I think I just spoke in English when I was in Bali. It is, I think, very, touristic. So I don't know how to say merhaba. I have to say hello in your language. It's merhaba in Turkish.
merhaba?
Merhaba.
Merhaba,
Merhaba.
merhaba.
Merhaba means
Okay.
hello.
Selamat sore. You can say selamat sore for now, yeah, because it's afternoon.
Selamatori. Selamatori.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Do
Selamatori.
you want to take a screenshot now?
Can you? How could we?
Okay, I can take it for you then. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Just a second. Just a second. I didn't pause.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Maybe I will use different. Okay. Again.
Again.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay then.
Thank you so much.
So I have to, deliver it back to the MC. Thank you again, Dr. Merve Gaines to spend your day with us.
Thank you too.
Silakan MC.
Thank you, Assistant Professor Dr. Marvin Gage, for your presentation and discussion. And thank you for Mr. Azhar Irfansyah, SIPMA, for moderating this seminar today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to come to the end of this enlightening and informative fish general lecture. Hope you all enjoy and benefit from the presentation and discussion of our distinguished speakers and guests. Once again, I would like to thank them for their valuable contribution and for making this general lecture a success. In closing this general lecture, I want to leave a quote from Albert Einstein. The important thing is don't stop asking. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. I hope that this public lecture sparked your curiosity and inspired you to learn more about the topics we have covered today. I wish you all the best for your future endeavors and look forward to seeing you again at our next appointment. Thank you and have a great day, everyone. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.